Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Valvrave the Liberator, Episode 8. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out LF has created plans for the new JIOR, and he passes them along to Shoko, who dismisses them. Bad move for Shoko, because LF, he kind of knew that Shoko would dismiss them, so he decides to take everyone on the new JIOR hostage. He sets up traps everywhere, and he starts a coup. Hey, I love where that went. However, Haruto falls for LF's trap, and he's caught up in it, I guess. And Adra, who is spying on the new JIOR, he ends up shooting Haruto in the process, and Haruto is now dead. But if you remember correctly, Haruto is not human anymore, so he's not really dead. But anyways, Adra is now face to face with LF, and I like where it was going. But at the end of the episode, we find out Haruto ends up taking LF's body since he's injured. Apparently his leg is caught underneath one of the scaffolds, and Haruto takes LF's body because LF actually helps Haruto out after Adra's been pushed aside, and he ends up joining Rukino outside to defeat the Dorsan army. And that's where the episode ends. And I'll have my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with LF, and we're in his flashback, which, I don't know, kind of caught me off guard because we really don't know a lot about LF or his background in general, other than he used to be with the Dorsan army. But anyways, in this flashback with LF, he's in chains, and this is his childhood. He's like a kid, and he's in chains, and he's running away from someone, or soldiers in this case, and he runs into a princess, which is also a child, and he's holding her hostage. And then out of nowhere, he wakes up, and we're back in the present. We're no longer in the flashback, and apparently he tells everyone that's around him, since he's back in his body, he's in control of his body. Haruto's no longer in his body, and he's strapped down on what appears to be not a bed, but I guess he's in a room, and he's strapped down to something, and he tells everyone, we have 6 hours left until this country is destroyed. That's the first thing he says once he wakes up. You have 6 hours until this country is going to be destroyed. And he's waiting on Haruto to accept his contract of alliance, I guess, of some sort. And that's where we open up with. That was very hardcore in my opinion. You wake up and you tell everyone, okay guys, I have 6 hours to basically live before this country is destroyed. So Haruto, you going to make that a contract with me yet? And again, that's where we do open up with. Moving on past that, we are taking to a little cutscene with Haruto. Now, Haruto learns the truth about Ines. Now, if you remember correctly, Ines in the last episode was killed, as she was in the same hangar as LF and Haruto, of course, and she was killed in the process when the Dorsan army attacked. So Ines is now dead, and Haruto's best friend is losing it because I guess he had a thing for Ines, or that was one of his close friends. Either way, Haruto's best friend is losing it, and I thought he was going to steal one of the Valvrave mechas and do something ridiculous, but that's what it was building up to, but it doesn't end up happening in this episode, oddly enough. I mean, if I would have bet money on this, I would have lost, to be honest. I was like, wait a minute, this kid just lost the closest girlfriend I guess he might have had, called Ines. She's now dead, and he's holding the Dorsan army responsible, and there's an extra mecha just in the next room. I could have sworn he was going to steal the mecha known as Valvrave and go in outer space and, become the next pilot. It doesn't end up happening, and I was shocked. Come on, be honest, you were shocked too. Now, moving on past that, we are taken to another scene, but with Adra this time. Now, in last episode, Adra was basically on the new JIOR, taking pictures and spying on everyone, taking pictures of the mechas and whatnot. Now, he tells the colonel that there are 5 completed Valvraves on the new JIOR. Definitely worth mentioning, but I thought there might have been more than 5. But anyways, there are 5 completed mechas that are known as Valvraves that are on the new JIOR. Now, he also goes on to say there are also a number of disassembled units on the new JIOR as well, either incomplete or discarded, which leads you to assume that not only can the 5 completed Valvraves be repaired at any given time, but they could also create more units if they wanted to. So this is starting to add up to something else. I can't wait to find out who's going to pilot these other mechas, of course. We already know 2 of the pilots have already been picked out. What about the other 3? We really don't know. I have my theories, and I will get to that later on, trust me. But anyways, moving on past that, we find out the Colonel, he gives Adra one last chance to get LF back. One last chance before he reports it to the higher-ups about what's really going on. And that was kind of nice of the Colonel, but come on, Adra, I think he's had enough tries. You failed more than twice. I mean, your own friend, even though, LF was not himself, still shot you in the face. I don't think things will ever go back to normal, so I would have gave up right away. I mean, it's a lost cause. Now, back on Module 77, known as the new JIOR, there are 3 potential candidates for the next pilots that are going to be piloting the Valvraves. Now, this is where my theory comes into play. Who's going to pilot these next Valvraves? Now, the obvious choice is going to be LF. That's the obvious choice, but he's not among the 3 that I'm going to describe to you guys. I'm just putting that out there. Now, the first one is Thunder. Thunder is the bully. He's reckless. I think he's just going to take one of the mechas for himself. I mean, he's a bully. He looks like he's going to steal something. Next one is Kuyame, which is Haruto's best friend. He just lost Ines. He's psychologically not himself. He's not normal. He looks like he's going to do something stupid at any given point in time. Now, as for the third candidate, Satomi, which is the student council president, he wanted the mechas for the student council, and he was denied that. I believe he wants to take the mecha, one of the mechas anyways, for himself, so he can protect the student council and everyone else. And since he's the leader, known as the president of the student council, I would assume he would want some part in this, so he would be the third candidate. But out of the 3, there's a 4th one, which is LF. LF would have been my first choice. LF and Shoko seem to be the 2 main realistic choices you would have picked out right off the bat. Shoko looks like a leader since she is the president's daughter. We don't know where the president is and of what country. We don't really know. And LF because he's the one-man fucking army. Come on. One-man fucking army. But again, that's my theory. Moving on past that, we find out the Dorson army is now approaching. They're ready to attack. It looks like this is their 3rd attempt to try to take over the new JIOR and take over all the mechas. Still doesn't make any sense. Just destroy the new JIOR and be done with it. You have the numbers. I mean, the ARUS has been defeated numerous times. They're not in your way. It's just these stupid mechas that you're trying to steal. Let it go. You don't need that. If you destroy the technology that only one country has, then it's lost. No one else has it. You're good. You're wasting valuable resources. You're losing valuable, precious troops and time just to steal, 5 mechas? Doesn't seem worth it to me. No. In a strategic plan, I can't even say the word right now, but in a certain type of plan or scenario, I can see where a valuable amount of time could be taken out to take out these mechas, 5 different mechas, if they were going to win a war. But it doesn't look like it in this case. But sorry, I digress. Moving on past that, we find out Haruto launches right away after noticing the Dorson army approaching. So Haruto is in his Valvrave. He's outside of Module 77. He's approaching the Dorson army. And he's followed by Rokino. So Rokino jumps in her mecha. She jumps out as well. I mean, perfect timing. Haruto, however, is taking the lead. So Haruto is in control. He's going to lead this little mission, I guess. Now, apparently they're being ambushed by a surprise attack. So the Dorson army has another ace up their sleeve this time, which, no surprise, I mean, they seem like they have their head on their shoulders the right way this time. Now, the Dorson army appears to have a broader... I don't know how to describe this. The Dorson army seems to be boarding the Module 77. So although the Dorson army is attacking the mechas in outer space, they have a separate unit boarding Module 77, and they're taking the JIOR's battleships in the water. So they commandeered the JIOR's battleships in the water, which the Student Council has neglected to take for themselves, which, well, that's your own damn fault. If the Student Council of the new JIOR doesn't take over all of the weapons, ships and whatnot for themselves to defend themselves, then they're lost. and the Dorsan armies gain. And the Dorsan army has now taken over the battleships and are making shitty demands to the student council to give up the mechas, to surrender, and then they're shooting at the academy. And you know what? To be honest, that's probably what I would have done. Although I would have moved in a little faster. And not just, the water. Have some troops on land, because it doesn't look like it's going to last that long, in my opinion. Now, moving on past that, we find out Tsutomi, which is the student council president, he pleads with everyone while Kiyame appears to be losing it. So Tsutomi is pleading with LF, if that makes any sense. So Tsutomi, which is the student president, he's pleading with LF, of all people, to end this, because he assumes that LF is still supporting the Dorsan army, like he's still trying to help the Dorsan army in some way, which is not the case. To do something, to get off your ass, and to do something. LF, it's all on you, do something. No, he's not going to do anything. Now, as for Kuyame, which is Haruto's best friend, he appears to be shot. I know, he was making a break to the mechas, like he was going to steal one of the Valvraves, but he was shot in the arm in the process by a few of the Dorsan army soldiers, which have infiltrated the academy, which is a great move, in my opinion, for the Dorsan army. Bad move for the student council, since they're not really doing anything. But anyways, Kuyame has been shot, so he's not flying a mecha anytime soon, and I was like, thank God, because I don't want this kid to fly. He doesn't have his head on his shoulders right. He's the psychotic type that could fuck up this series. So he's done. He's been shot. He's not dead, but he's been wounded. As for Satome's not doing anything. He's just asking LF for help. I would have assumed he might have already stolen a mecha. No. Now, Thunder is useless right now. Thunder is not doing shit. He would have been my third possible candidate to steal a mecha in this episode. He's not doing anything either. Not doing a goddamn thing. Now, as for Haruto, Haruto reaches out for LF's help. This was the last thing I thought would ever happen. So Haruto, while he's battling the Dorsan army, he opens up a comm channel and he asks for LF's help. He's like, you know what? You want a contract? Fine, you've got it. Save everyone. Victory in this case means no casualties. 0 casualties, and you got yourself a deal. And LF says, deal. I'll help you out. This is a contract, a binding contract. I'll help you out. I'll save everyone. No casualties, 0 casualties. You got it. He just made a deal with the devil. Haruto, you made a deal with the devil. Now you gotta live with it. Now moving on past that, we find out LF now joins them in outer space, but not in a mecha. He's in like what appears to be a spaceship of some sort, and he destroys most of the Dorsan army. He's a kamikaze pilot. He abandons his ship, aims it right at the Dorsan army, and explodes it everywhere. And the Dorsan army, or should I say, the Dorsan fleet, have been destroyed. Fucking genius. Now, while that's happening, he tells both Haruto and Rokino to go to certain positions near Module 77 and just randomly shoot at certain locations. And when they shoot, they disrupt Module 77, which apparently does something to the Dorsan army, which is inside Module 77, which have commandeered the battleships. And it looks like the Dorsan army, both inside the module and outside, have been defeated. This kid is a fucking genius. Now, he's floating in outer space in his suit, and he's been picked up by Haruto. Again, definitely worth mentioning. Now, at the end of the episode, we're taken back to the flashback with the princess that LF has been taken hostage. And it's weird because apparently this princess cuts her hair and gives half of her life to LF and says, I'm giving you half of my life. Now live? So this princess is showing LF mercy and friendship at the same time. And I guess that's why LF holds her picture and was crying. Well, his body was crying when Haruto was looking at the picture. This girl had some meaning to him. Again, that's where the episode ends. As for final thoughts, well, as for who's going to be the next pilot, it's up in the air. I mean, could it be Shoko? Could it be LF? Those are logical candidates. The unlogical candidates is Thunder, Kuyame, and Tsutomi. Plain and simple. And one more final thought. As for the Dorsan army, now that they've been fucked majorly, their fleet has been destroyed. what is their next move, as what would be the next move for the ARUS. We have no idea. And that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, 4 out of 5. This was a great episode. Now, the reason why it was a great episode, we saw amazing battle scenes. We saw a great plan strung along by LF. LF is a fucking genius. I can't wait to see what he's going to do in the next episode. Now that he's made a pact, or should I say a contract with Haruto, what's going to happen next? We have no idea. Now, there was a little drama between Aina and Kuyame. Now that Aina's dead, Kuyame has lost it. He's no longer fit to do anything. I mean, he wants revenge. So can't wait to see what he's going to do in the next episode. But that ends it for my final rating. And my final ranking, or in this case, my final rating, again, is 4 out of 5. And that is it for my walkthrough and review of Valvrave the Liberator, Episode 8. Definitely comment down below. Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter. And follow me if you like. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now. I got to hit the bricks and I got to go. And before I go, I got to say it. And I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.